Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Stacy. If you're new here, welcome in. If you're coming back, I'm so glad to have you. I forgot to say I'm a registered nurse. And if you like what you see here, then I ask that you like, subscribe, and follow for more. Let's talk about going to school while working and how to balance that in your life. Are you still continuing your education in healthcare? How are you holding up? You okay? Let's talk about it. I have been working toward my bachelor's degree. I think I've talked about this many times. I started as a CNA when I was 19. Then I worked as an LPN for 11 years. Then I got my RN, and now I'm almost finished with my bachelor's degree. I don't even want to jinx that. I'm on my last 2 classes. And I just want to say that it's been a journey. I thought that I could complete it sooner. But I have found that 2 classes a semester is the pace at which I can function and work full time. And it's still a struggle sometimes to get all that time in that you need for school. When you're working full time as a nurse, in healthcare, you don't always get out the door at the time that your shift ends. You just don't. And then you have your life too. You have to balance your family, your kids, your family's functions. Maybe your kids are in sports. You're managing a lot of things when you're dealing with life in general, and now you want to go to school too. The beautiful thing about this day and age is that you can go to school online, and I have really been thankful for that. I could never see myself going to school at a university full-time and driving to that university and managing work. And back in the day, before we had online, there were women and men who were going to night classes and working during the day, going to day classes and working at night. I could never do that. But I have been working toward my bachelor's degree, and I have thought to myself, do I want to continue on? I've always said I wanted to be a nurse practitioner when I grow up. I have a goal to, reach it by the time I'm 50, which is approaching quickly, and I don't know if that's going to happen. And I think that it's really hard to decide whether you want to continue with your education, if it's worth it for you. And I think that those are things that you should consider when you're thinking of going to school and working as a nurse. Is getting your bachelor's degree required? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. It isn't going to make a difference in your pay. But if you want to be a manager, if you want to be in leadership, I would advise you to get your bachelor's degree. To work as a nurse in the floor, I don't think your bachelor's degree is going to give you an edge. I do think that if you want to go all the way, you should. I think if you want to get your master's degree, go for it. Go for it and go all the way. But if you're an associate's degree RN and you're working on the floor as an associate's degree RN, I don't think you should feel pressured to go get your BSN. I truly don't think it's going to change what you're doing as a working nurse on the floor. I do believe that working toward my bachelor's degree has helped me to understand leadership and management better, and also my responsibilities to be involved as a nurse and making my voice heard, because those are things I honestly didn't think about until I started taking classes about it. I have always thought about, when you're working as a nurse on the floor, you are doing the things. You're giving shots, you're checking blood sugars, you're looking at labs, you're looking at your patient, you're doing assessments, you're doing all of the things. You're doing the nursing skills that you do. You're changing patients, you're lifting patients, you're communicating with families. A BSN level RN and an associate's degree level RN are going to be doing the same thing in the terms of working on the floor. I personally feel there is not a difference there. I've worked with people who have their bachelor's degree. I worked with a nurse when I did not have my bachelor's degree several years ago, who was very proud of her bachelor's degree, as she should be. It is not easy to keep going on in education. I think you should be proud of the education that you've obtained. I think it's important to be proud of yourself when you accomplish that, because good God, it's not easy. But she would often hold herself as if she was better than the rest of us that didn't have a bachelor's degree, and we were all doing the same job. She was not a supervisor. She was not a manager. She was a nurse on the floor with the rest of us, and her attitude kind of separated her from the rest of the nursing staff. She was sort of uppity about it. And there's a difference between being proud of something and looking down at people and judging them. And maybe I don't feel that way anymore, because I feel like when you've worked to get a degree or a certificate, or you've advanced in your career, I do think you should be proud of that, and I do think that it's something that should be notable on your resume for sure. But I think I've worked with people who have been LPNs for 25 years, 30 years, and they are a wealth of knowledge and information and skills. And they can sometimes run circles around me, especially when I was a baby nurse, especially when I was a baby RN. But I have seen the wars between people about the levels of degree that you get and where you're at in your education. And truthfully, I think that that is an unnecessary stressor in your work life. I think that that is not a necessary focus in work. I've had LVNs, LPNs be above me in the management chain, and when I look back at that and I think about it, there are times when there have been LVNs, LPNs that had a stronger leadership ability than I had at that time in my life. I wouldn't have been able to lead them. Some people really have great leadership and management skills, and they don't need the education to have those skills. It just comes naturally to them. Some of us have just fallen into leadership roles and we learn to be leaders and managers. I have always been offered leadership positions and shied away from those because I did not want to be the adult in the room. And at 47 years of age, I don't want to keep killing my body on the floor and doing the hard tasks. So I have decided that it's okay with me if I become the adult in the room. Although that has never been my goal in life, and it's even still scary sometimes to be the adult in the room, because sometimes you don't have the answer. Even when you're the person that's supposed to have the answer, you have to seek someone higher than you to find the answer that you need. But I do believe that having a BSN is a necessary feature if you're interested in management. If that is something that you have a goal toward, doing leadership, management, advancing through the ranks in nursing, I do think it would benefit you to get your bachelor's degree and even your master's degree. And if you want to be a teacher, you want to be a nurse practitioner, you want to do things where you're giving other people advice, it's really good to get your master's degree. You can be a professor if you have your master's degree and teach other nurses. That's something that I've always considered when I'm thinking about nursing. You know, when I was younger and I was an LPN, I wanted to teach CNAs. And I thought when I became an RN that I would apply to colleges and teach the CNA certificate courses, because I really love talking and giving information to people in a small group setting. Now, I gotta tell you, I am not a big public speaker. It makes me insanely nervous, sweat, faint, all that stuff. But to be like one-on-one with people, I loved. When I was a treatment nurse, I did wound care for 7 years, and I really, really loved when the trainees would come through and I would get to educate them on the things that I knew and ways to help our patients stay free of wounds, right? Because education is key. And so I really loved the idea that I could be a teacher someday. I think I'm beyond that point in my life. I don't know that I want to provide education on a mass spectrum, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will get that master's degree and still do it. I feel like as long as you're living, you can still learn and contribute. And nurses, we don't get to retire until we're in our 70s anyway. So why not use the time that we have to help others become great nurses? I think that the beauty of being a nurse for a long, long time and getting more education and learning more things is that you have a vast wealth of information to share with the people who are coming behind you, and you can give them a good perspective. Obviously, things change over time. Some things are completely outdated that I did when I was a baby nurse There's things now that I'm like, wow, wow, we can do that now. So, but I do think that there is such a benefit to continuing with your education and passing along that knowledge to the people who are coming in behind you, because we're going to get old and retire and we're going to die someday. Isn't that depressing? But it's true. I think about the nurses who trained me. I think about the nurses who taught me. And I especially think of my professors. I especially think of the people who trained me to be a registered nurse. I remember them. I hear their voice in my head. The things that they emphasized are still in my head. And I remember nursing school like it was yesterday. And I'm talking about when I became an LPN and then when I became an RN. I remember those clinical experiences. I remember the classes. I remember the things that my instructors said to me that became a part of who I am. And I remember the critique that they gave me and the advice that they gave me. And so a lot of them were even at PhD and doctorate level in their education journey. And major respect. Non-military, I'm not going to salute, but I would salute. Hats off to those nursing instructors. I had a nursing instructor named Sharon Beasley, Trish Bennett Minor, Georgia. I will never forget Georgia as long as I live. I had Kristen. I had a lot of nursing instructors, Bonnie, that just stayed in my head. And then Melissa. Melissa taught me dimensional analysis, and I wish I learned dimensional analysis years ago, because it's so much easier than algebra when you're doing an IV problem. So I feel like those people made me want to become better. And I feel like continuing your education is a big part of becoming a better nurse and becoming better at what you do, and also becoming better at educating those that come behind you. I think that's critical, and I think it's key. So if you want to be a manager, if you want to be a nurse practitioner, if you want to advance in your career, I advise you to go on with school. But understand that you only can determine, do you want to go to school full time? Do you want to go to school part time and work while you go to school? Some of us, we have to work, right? We have to go to work. We have bills to pay. We have kids. We have food that we need to buy and put in our refrigerator. And so I get really passionate when I'm talking about learning and doing for nursing. I chose Arizona State University as a school that I wanted to go to. And so I'm really proud of that. I am going to be proud when I graduate, because it was not easy. And I think that as a person who dropped out of high school and did not complete my high school diploma and had to get a GED, for me, education has been such a point of proving who I am and showing that I'm not where I came from. And I like to say, if I can do it, so can you. So I'd say, if you're working full time and you want to get your bachelor's degree, look into it and do it. Just do it. Don't wait. I wish I didn't wait till I was in my 40s to do it, because it's very hard, I feel. I feel like it's been harder for me to grasp the concepts than it was when I was in my 20s. So I would say, if your goal is to get more education, don't wait. Don't tell yourself you're going to do it later. Do it now. Time is of the essence. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I say, go for it now. Go all the way. If you want to get your education, find a university or college that aligns with your goals, with your dreams, with the way that you want to do things. Find a university that aligns with your financial budget, and go for it. Go for it. I can't say enough about how I wish I had gone for it sooner. That's my only regret in life, is that I didn't push for my education sooner than I'm doing it. But also, my grandmother didn't become a nurse until she was in her 50s. And I feel like she was an amazing nurse. And so I would also say to you who are out there who feel like it's too late, it's not too late. Go for it. If your dream is to be a nurse and you want to be a nurse, there are needs for you. And we want you. If you want us, we want you. Come and join us and get your education. Whether you're young or old, if that's your goal, go for it. Go as far as you want to go and accomplish your dreams. That's my spiel. How have you handled going back to school and working? Do you go full time? Are you going to school part-time and working full-time? How are you juggling it all? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And what program did you choose? Are you going for your LPN, LVN? Are you becoming an associate's degree RN? Are you working towards your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate? Do you want to be an NP? I want to hear it all. Tell me about it. And if you like what you see here, then I ask that you like, subscribe, and follow for more. And I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.